All right, guys, so it has been weeks and weeks since I've shown you anything from this bike. Up there, we got our piston rings and our top end kit. I tried repairing the top end at work and getting this all fixed. Put it all back together, and I went to kick the kickstart, and the piston was not moving. What I did wrong was I had the cam chain on wrong with the black tensioner bars on wrong. So ripped it all apart. Got everything looking freely. We have compression now, but we're gonna kind of go through the checklist and hopefully get a first start for you guys. So first, we're gonna check the spark, then we're gonna check the compression, and then we're gonna give her some kicks and see if she'll fire up. Let's check the spark first. All right, so we got our plug into our ignition coil. We have the bike turned on. I'm just gonna push the kickstarter over by hand and there, I hope you guys can see that. It's sparking pretty good. All right, guys, you saw we had good spark. Let's see what we got for compression here. We're gonna turn our key to off. We are going to clear out the compression gauge and we're gonna do throttle open. Awesome, let me show you. We are at about 110 pounds, so that's really good. We wanted to see 100 to 130, so that's perfect. Let's go for a startup. All right, guys, so we got our good spark. We got good compression, 110 pounds or PSI now. We got our new air filter in there. We are gonna give her some kicks and see if we can get it to pop over. I did notice from the last couple days the carb has been leaking out of the overflow, so we do got an All Balls Racing carb rebuild kit. But let's see if we can even get her to fire up. Turn the key to on. Turn our petcock on. We're gonna do no choke for now. Give her a kick. Try the choke. Something. Doesn't like the gas. Try giving it a little gas. Okay, no gas on the choke. Let's try gas, no choke. No gas, no choke. Come on. And you can't adjust the carb when the air box is on. Let's try that choke again. Come on. Okay, got our petcock on. Sounds like it's not getting gas. All right, we're gonna play with the carb a little bit. Try messing with the air fuel mixture. We'll get back to you. All right, so we had to pull off the air box to adjust that fuel air mixture. It was at 1.5. We changed it to 1 now, and we turned up the idle just a bit. And yes, it's gonna run a little different because the air box is off, but we're gonna try it here. Choke on. Just doesn't want to idle. Doesn't want to idle. Let's try to choke off. doesn't like the gas. Let's try turning up that idle just a tickle. Let's try this again. Well, she's smoking, so that's not great. Out of the exhaust, as you can see. So once I screwed, the more I screwed the air fuel screw in, the more it liked it. So it wanted more fuel. However, it's smoking a good amount out of the exhaust, which is not good. That indicates it's burning oil. That could be from the two-stroke oil I used to get the top end all together. What we're gonna do, pull this carb off, just because it's leaking anyways, as you can tell. That was from overnight, but we're gonna pull the carb, get all that new carb rebuild kit in there, and see if we can get it to run any better. All right, guys, I'm a dummy. I had the petcock off. That's why it wasn't revving out. So we're gonna turn the petcock on and try that again. All right, key on, petcock on. Let's get our little screwdriver ready and get ready to adjust. So we're a half a turn out on the air screw right now. Much better. Much better. Well, that was that issue. We're still going to go ahead and chuck that carb rebuild kit in from All Balls Racing just to try and fix the leak from the needle and seat. Catch you guys in a minute. All right, so we're here set up on the workbench. We just drained the gas out of our carb. We pulled our bowl out of our carb. We got our 4 screws set aside, and we just started looking at the All Balls Racing carb rebuild kit for this TTR 90. Got a base gasket, another little gasket, little gasket. This is for our throttle pin washers. In here, it looks like we have a new pilot jet, a new throttle, the air fuel screw mixer, a new one of those, a new main jet, and our base screws. So let's go ahead and start getting all this replaced. First thing we're gonna do is pull all of the old stuff off and set that in a pile so we do not get the old stuff mixed up with the new stuff. Little magnetic trays are very helpful for this. So pulling our main jet out now. I'm just using a little pick tool, and this is the pin we're trying to get out that goes across here to hold the float on, and it is just not too stubborn anymore. So Shouldn't have said that so soon. Got our pin out. All right, we got our float and needle out. So there's our old needle. And we got our float. So now let's start looking into our new parts. Now actually, first thing we're gonna do, replace this old gasket on here. So we're gonna pull this out with the pick tool and get our new one in there. This very well could have been why the bike was leaking as well. This gasket is quite brittle. Oh yeah, so look at this, it's just breaking. I guess it didn't break that easy, but you can see how easy it broke, very brittle. So put that in our old pile and we will get our new one. Just kind of gonna press it into the seams where it fits. All right, so we got our base gasket in. Let's look at the size of these pilots and main and see if we can read if they match up with the old one. So the main and the new one is a 90, and the old main is also a 90, so that is perfect. We're gonna go ahead and just finger tight screw that one in. And we're gonna grab our pilot. Let's see. It says 125, I'm gonna guess. It's 12.5 and they just can't see the dot. Yep, they're both 12.5, so same exact size jets. I didn't even, yep, it's clear. I'm gonna assume the main was clear. And we have already cleaned this carb out, so that's why we're not cleaning it again. All right, and this is gonna be our pilot, or our air fuel mixture screw, and then we have the spring for that and the little washer for that as well. I'm gonna pull that stuff out. So there's your little washer, and there's your thing. And I'm gonna pull the old one out now. Oh, I might need my little screwdriver. So that is gonna be on the back of the carb in here. And we had it was running best without the air filter at half a turn in. So we are gonna start there when we put the new one in. So, okay, so here's our old one, very crusty. So I just see a spring on there. We're gonna use a pick tool and see if there is a little rubber washer in there, because there should be, based on the new cut. Really hard to show you guys in there, so I'm sorry. Just using a pick tool to see if we can get anything to come out. All right, I'm not thinking there's anything in there. We're gonna grab a flashlight, look in there to double check. Yeah, there is nothing in there. So we're gonna go ahead and throw one of those little black washers on. We're gonna go washer, screw, and then thread this in is how we're gonna run it. I believe that is correct. If I am wrong, tell me in the comments. So washer going on first, then the screw, and then that. We're gonna screw this on until we're at, screw it all the way in and then back it out a half turn. You are going to be fighting that new spring, so This is a little harder than I'd like it though. I will admit that. Okay, so we got our new fuel and mixture screw in. The only other things we got in this kit are our new screws for the bottom carb bowl, and then also the screws for these new screws up here. We're just going to run the old screws on the top because they're fine and not stripped out. We will run new screws on the bottom because those were a little stripped out. And then you can see we got our throttle pin in here too, the long skinny thing. We're actually going to keep running the old one, and we're going to just save these washers because the throttle was working just fine. So next thing we can do is snug up these jets and the main and the pilot. We just really want to go till you feel tension and just a tiny bit more. These do not need to be murdered in there. Next thing we're going to do is our needle, and hopefully between the gasket and the needle this carb no longer leaks. Where's our float? So we got our carb or our needle on our float. We might also have to adjust the float a little bit, and if it is still leaking, I'm going to look up the millimeters from the base height to the float when you hang it upside down, and we will ensure it is correct. Well, let's go ahead and get this thing back in here. Oh man, these a little lube. Just give it a little tap, and then it slides right in. Just needs to be pushed just a tiny bit. Okay, now we got that in. So this is what I was talking about, that float height. That is a little low, but our float is moving up and down. We're gonna try it there. And like I said, you can measure from the base to the bottom of the bowl to set it to the stock height from the owner's manual. So we'll look that up if it's leaking and we'll adjust that. Is this? Oh, this is the gasket for up on the throttle cable. So we'll throw that on. Actually it goes like that. This is gonna, where is this gasket for? This gasket is gonna be for the, what is that? That would be the intake side. So we're gonna pop this gasket out and put the new one in. Okay, we got this new gasket in. This is our last gasket. I'm gonna need to look where this one goes. I'm not sure off the top of my head. But we're gonna get this thrown back together, and I guess we will catch you once on the bike. All right, guys, so we got that carb rebuild kit on. We got the air filter on. We got the gas tank on. In theory, should run pretty good right now, and it should not leak out of the overflow down here. Unfortunately, I did just see we got a little bit of an oil leak down here. I ripped the gasket when I was rebuilding it, so probably gonna have to pull that cover off and fix that. But let's just see if she'll fire up here for us. Turn our choke on, or our fuel line on. Turn our key on. We're gonna try no choke. That sounded terrible. Something's up with the kickstart gear too. That's not good. this thing is no longer shifting. Oh, it's because I have the Kickstarter set too high to where you can't even shift. All right, let me adjust that quick. All right, so that very well could have been our issue. I'm really glad our transmission is working. As you see, kick it into first and locks up. Then you kick it into neutral and she rolls free. Okay, so that issue is fixed. All right, we got our neutral, got our fuel on. I don't see any leak yet, so that's good. Oh, and the carb is gonna need to fill up. That's probably why it wasn't starting. So we got our choke on, our key on, our carb's got to fill up. First kick. I'll show you guys the smoke. Alright, so we just fired her up. She's been running for a minute or two. She runs pretty good. She's not smoking at idle. Just a tiny bit of smoke. I don't love it. It's obviously backfired because there's no exhaust in there. It's basically a straight pipe. Just idle, or just smoking just a little bit, which I don't love. We're gonna go ahead and take it for the personal test ride. All right, guys, we're actually just gonna put it up on the stand, and this is gonna be a replication of a ride, just because I don't want to rip it up and down the street. So let's do this. Try not to die. So she runs pretty decent, just backfiring like crazy. We're gonna have to figure out if that is really only because of the exhaust, if there's something else going on with the carb, and get that dialed in. I didn't really want to run it too long because I know there's the oil leak, and I just thought about it. I was gone a week. How much oil did it lose while I was gone? So we're gonna drain the oil yet again, take this cover up, order up a new gasket so that we can get that done right, and we're gonna drain the oil, do that. But in the meantime, we got a new battery. We're gonna see if we can get this electric start to work. All right, guys. So I went with this Pirate battery on Amazon. It had super good reviews. I want to say like a 4.9. Comes charged. They say maintenance free. Charge it every 6 months. Don't leave the key on. Online it said that it matched up, and for once it actually did match up with the quick connect on here, and we got our battery strap on. I guess there's only one thing left to do, and that is see if she fires up. Like I said, because of our oil situation, we really are just going to try it for a second, hope it turns the motor over, and call it good. Let's see what she can do. All right, we got our fuel on. Carb is not leaking. We got our key on. Let's try it. We got her in neutral. Just like that, our electric start works. Perfect. All right, let's drain that oil and prep this while we wait for a new gasket to get on the way.